Picture this. You're gliding along the Nile, the ancient artery of Egypt.
Hmm.
A triangular sail catches the breeze overhead, the sun warms your face, and really the only sounds are the gentle ripple of water against the wooden hull.
Yeah, it's a very evocative image.
It really is. It's an experience that just whispers of centuries past. Today, we're sort of setting sail into the world of the Felucca boat ride on the Nile.
Right.
We've looked at, traveler stories, practical advice, insights into why this simple boat is still so captivating.
It has a real pull, doesn't it?
Definitely. Our goal here is to give you a solid understanding of what it's like to journey on the Nile, this very old way. It's more than just a boat trip, really.
Oh, absolutely. It's a connection to ancient traditions, the rhythm of the river itself.
Exactly. And we've drawn from, travel blogs, tour info, forum discussions, quite a mix.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing the different perspectives. But the Felucca itself, it's not just any boat. It's a living piece of Egyptian heritage.
Also,
Well, its design has stayed remarkably similar to the boats you see in ancient tomb paintings and temple reliefs. It's quite amazing, really.
wow. So for generations, these were the workhorses of the Nile.
Pretty much. Vital for moving people, goods, connecting all those communities along the fertile banks. It fostered, trade, culture exchange. Everything flowed along the river.
And the Felucca was key to that.
Absolutely. And even today, it kind of embodies the spirit of the Nile. It represents that river life.
And what a way to connect with that spirit. I mean, you forget the big cruise liners for a bit. The stories we came across really highlight the chance to just soak in the incredible scenery, the historical sites,
Yeah,
but from a totally different angle.
right. It's much more down to earth, isn't it?
Yeah, one traveler called it breezy bliss, which I thought was perfect. Captures that laid-back feel.
It does. And compared to the larger boats, a felucca definitely offers a more intimate and traditional encounter with the Nile.
A lower pace, too, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The unhurried pace is absolutely key. So many accounts mention the joy of just lazy long chats, watching the world go by on the banks.
Doesn't sound too bad.
Not at all. And the sunsets and sunrises, people rave about them. Seeing the sky just explode with color over the water from the deck of a felucca, it's meant to be unforgettable.
Okay, you're painting a lovely picture.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and thinking, right, I want to do this, what are the practical things? Let's start with when's the best time to go?
Timing. Yeah, that's a big one. A lot of people suggest dawn or dusk for the actual rides.
Why is that?
Well, two reasons mainly. Temperatures are milder then, which is crucial. And the light. It's often just magical for seeing the landscape and, for photos.
Right, the golden hour.
Exactly. Seasonally, you need to be aware of the heat. May to September, it can get really intense. We're talking frequently above 40 degrees Celsius.
So over 100 Fahrenheit. Oof.
Yeah. Being out on the water in the middle of the day then could be pretty uncomfortable.
Sounds like midday in summer is maybe best spent somewhere cool. What about the rest of the year?
Well, the winter months, say October to April, that's when you get much more comfortable daytime temperatures, usually somewhere between 20 and 25 Celsius.
So like 68 to 77 Fahrenheit. Nice.
Yeah, very pleasant. Evenings can get a bit cool, though, so packing a light jacket or sweater is a good idea.
Okay.
But it's also worth remembering that period is peak tourist season, so, more crowds at the popular spots.
Right, the trade-off. So if you want that sweet spot, good weather, fewer people. What's the advice?
Spring, maybe March and April, and also late September. Those often seem to be a good compromise. The weather is generally nice, and you're likely to find fewer tourists than in, say, December or January.
Makes sense. We saw one family's account, didn't we? Late March.
Yeah, they called it a perfect escape. So they had lovely sunny days, a constant gentle breeze. Sounds pretty good.
It really does.
Yeah.
Okay, timing sorted now. Location. Where should you actually go to get on a felucca?
Well, you can find rides near Cairo, but honestly, most people seem to agree that Aswan is the place to go for the really captivating Nile scenery.
Why Aswan specifically?
You get more dramatic, rocky shores there, interesting islands dotted about. It's just generally seen as a more picturesque stretch of the river compared to around Cairo.
Right.
We saw one comment on a forum, someone put it very plainly. Aswan's Nile is much more visually interesting. It's my favorite part of Egypt.
Okay, that's a strong recommendation for Aswan then.
Yeah.
And the trips themselves, how long do they last? Can you just do a quick hour? Or are we talking longer journeys?
You can do both, absolutely. Rides can be anything from just a short 1-hour sail, perfect for sunset maybe, right up to immersive multi-day journeys.
Multi-day, like sleeping on the boat.
Yes, exactly. Some operators offer private trips, maybe Aswan to Luxor, which could take a couple of days, maybe a night or two on board. You might also find a Felucca bit included in a bigger tour package.
Okay.
But, and this is important, you really need to check the details of exactly what you're booking.
Why is that so crucial? What could go wrong?
Well, we read one story from a traveler whose, quote, Felucca cruise actually turned out to be just a short sail near Aswan. Then they just moored the boat in the harbor and they slept there overnight.
Oh, so not exactly cruising down the Nile for days.
No, they were quite disappointed, understandably. It just really highlights that you need to read the itinerary carefully. Don't just assume cruise means continuous sailing between points A and B.
That's a really valuable heads up. Okay, so let's say someone is doing a multi-day trip, the real deal. What are the conditions like on board? Sleeping, food.
Right. Well, based on various accounts, including that group of 9 travelers we read about who slept right on the deck.
9 people on deck. Wow.
Yeah, sleeping arrangements tend to be, let's say, basic, often mattresses laid out on the deck. As for food, it's really essential to confirm beforehand if meals are included, what kind of food it'll be.
Any examples?
One source mentioned meals might be simple, traditional stuff like fure, that's a common Egyptian dish made from stewed faba beans. Hearty, but maybe basic for some.
Okay, and water.
Crucial. Always ask if drinking water is provided. And definitely avoid drinking water straight from the Nile. That's a big no-no.
Right. Goes without saying, hopefully. What about other facilities? Bathrooms?
Hygiene is something to be prepared for. On the boat itself, facilities might be very limited or non-existent on simpler setups. When you're on land, public restrooms aren't always free, and they might not have toilet paper.
Ah, the classic travel tip. Always carry your own tissues or toilet paper.
Exactly. Always wise. And we did see one account that raised some concerns about food safety standards on their trip, so it's just prudent to be mindful. Maybe stick to simple, freshly cooked things if possible.
Okay, good advice. So you figured out when, where, what to expect. How do you actually find a good captain or a reliable tour?
Yeah, that's key. Many sources stress. Clarify exactly what's included in the price before you agree to anything. Ask about meals, water, any potential extra costs. Don't be shy.
No hidden surprises.
Right. One blog mentioned that finding a good, reputable captain often comes down to word of mouth. Personal recommendations can be really valuable if you can get them.
Makes sense. What about group trips?
If you're joining a group trip, especially a longer one, it might actually be a good idea to try and meet or chat with the other travelers beforehand, if possible, just to get a feel for the group dynamic.
That's smart, yeah. Especially if you're spending a couple of days together on a small boat. And what about responsible travel? Are there greener options?
Yes, good point. We did see mention of some operators specifically offering private, carbon-free, traditional Felucca cruises.
So using just the wind.
Exactly. Supporting the authentic traditional sailing methods and minimizing the environmental impact. So those options are out there if you look for them.
Great. Now, beyond just the sailing itself, what can you actually see from a Felucca, especially around Aswan? What are the highlights?
Oh, the Aswan area is packed with amazing sites you can easily reach. Elephantine Island is a really popular stop. It has ancient temples, ruins like the Temple of Khnum. Lots of history right there.
Okay.
Then there's the Botanical Garden on Kitchener Island. Beautiful place, apparently. Loads of diverse, exotic plants from all over.
Sounds like a nice contrast.
It does. And of course, Philae Temple, the incredible Temple of Isis. That's the one they famously moved piece by piece to save it from the rising waters when they built the high dam.
An amazing story in itself.
Truly. And you also get a unique view of the Aswan High Dam itself from the water, this huge modern landmark that created Lake Nasser.
And anything near Cairo. You mentioned rides there earlier.
Yeah, we saw just a fleeting mention. Someone suggested you might glimpse the Giza pyramids from a different perspective on a Cairo Felucca ride. But honestly, details on that were pretty scarce compared to the Aswan info.
Right. So Aswan seems the main hub for sightseeing from the Felucca. It's incredibly how much history is just packed along those Nile banks.
It really is. But it's not just about the ancient monuments, is it? There's the whole natural world, too.
Ah, yes, the wildlife. What might you spot?
Well, the Nile is a thriving ecosystem. You have to be lucky, of course. But you might spot iconic creatures like the Nile crocodile basking on the banks.
Wow. Maybe hippos, too.
Possibly. Though maybe less common in the main tourist areas now. But definitely keep an eye out for bird life. Lots of that.
Like what?
Oh, the impressive African fish eagle, maybe various types of herons, egrets, the sacred ibis, lots of birds depend on the river. And underwater, of course, loads of fish, Nile poach, tilapia, catfish.
So watching the wildlife adds another whole layer to the experience.
Absolutely. It connects you to the living river, not just the historical one.
And for people who love taking photos, sounds like paradise. Any specific tips for shooting from a felucca?
Definitely paradise for photographers. The scenery, the landmarks, fantastic subjects, but be prepared for the conditions.
Sand heat.
Sand, heat, maybe some spray from the river. Protect your gear. As we mentioned earlier, early mornings often give the best light and potentially fewer crowds at any sites you visit on land as a part of the trip.
Good light, fewer people. The
Well,
photographer's dream.
pretty much. Maybe think about versatile lenses, something wide for landscapes, maybe a telephoto for wildlife, or details on the banks.
Okay, so wrapping this up, it sounds like a felucca ride on the Nile is a really distinctive way to experience Egypt.
I think so, yeah. It's deeply rooted in tradition, offers those stunning views, and it just has a completely different rhythm, a different feel compared to other ways of traveling the river.
But as we've heard, there are some important practical things to keep in mind. Checking itineraries, knowing what to expect on board, choosing your operator carefully.
Exactly. It's not perhaps for everyone, maybe requires a bit more of an adventurous spirit for the multi-day trips especially, but it combines that weight of history with the simple beauty of river life. It offers a more unhurried and personal journey.
It genuinely sounds like a remarkable experience. Now, as you think about that gentle motion of the felucca, the timeless flow of the Nile, here's something to ponder.
Okay.
What might life actually have been like for those who relied solely on these sailboats, navigating this huge river in ancient times, completely dependent on the wind, the currents? How might that really intimate connection with nature have shaped their whole view of the land, its history?
That's a fascinating thought. A totally different pace of life, a different relationship with the environment.
Exactly. Maybe looking into the ongoing traditions, the daily lives of the communities that still live along the Nile. Perhaps that offers an even deeper appreciation for this incredible river.